these groups together in a way to solve the problems of the people of Libya, because I feel that the people of Libya are suffering from all this fighting, all this war, from the foreign countries, which is looking for the 3 million barrels of petrol daily, but they didn't look how the people are suffering inside Libya.
Right. What you said is very much true, sir, except for that today's is only the quartet who are taking the quartet meeting is taking place. Of course, the meeting of the neighboring countries, Egypt, Algeria, and Tunisia, has taken place before, but they were not participants in today's meeting. However, you pinpointed a very important issue, two issues. Today, the meeting of the quartet of today, and the existence of Russia. Let me start here with the existence of Russia, because, yes, Europe decided to come on the ground when it saw that Russia is getting involved through Mr. Sarraj or through Mr. Haftar. Both have visited Russia. How do you view the existence of Russia in Libya? Do you think it would change ground here?
I'm sorry, the voice is very low. I didn't hear all what you say, but I understand that you want me to talk about the role of Russia.
Yes, I'm speaking exactly about Russia.
This is what I understand it, because the voice is very low. Yes. Russia wants to be in Libya, like what happened in Syria. Of course, the Russians want a base in Libya, although the Libyans will not accept that. So Russia is supporting Haftar now, and of course Sarraj tried to make a kind of relation with the Russians, but I think the Russians will be more comfortable with General Haftar than Mr. Sarraj.
We'll see.
But at the end, there is two things against the Russians. The European Union will be, of course, against Russia, any base for Russia in Libya, because it would be in front of Europe. The second thing, that the Libyans themselves will not accept foreign bases in Libya. Right. So the role of Russia will be limited because of these two factors.
Yes.
Although they play a role now,
yes,
and they want to play a role in the future, because they didn't accept what the NATO did when they entered Libya,
yes,
and they didn't give any care to Russia or to China.
Yes, very much indeed.
There is two things, as I said, will be against the role of Russia in Libya to be expanded.
Right.
That's why, in my opinion, will be a limited role in Libya.
Dr. Salah Abdallah, political answer, thank you very much for joining us. Let's now turn to this very short economic break with the Arab economic news, and we'll come back. Minister of Investment and International Cooperation Sahar Nasr held talks with the Minister of Trade and Industry Tariq Qabil over improving the investment atmosphere. Nasr said the ministry is coordinating with all the ministries on laying down an investment plan that would include various investment opportunities to Egyptian, Arab and foreign investors. She said these opportunities would go along with Egypt's vision to achieve sustainable development. Nasser said that an investment complex is being developed to level up to the plan to automate services to help solve obstacles hindering investments. Nasser and Qabil also discussed means of increasing support for the small and medium-sized businesses and start working on the local development program for Upper Egypt. Minister of Industry Tariq Qabil issued a decision on Saturday to reshuffle the Egyptian side of the Egyptian-Lebanese Joint Business Council. Qabil noted that the council reshuffle, which will hold meetings over the upcoming 3 years, aimed at activating and boosting investment and trade between Egypt and Lebanon, in addition to expand fields of bilateral cooperation. The minister added that the first meeting of the Joint Council with its new formation will take place at the end of this month in Cairo, on the sidelines of the 8th round of the Egyptian-Lebanese Joint Higher Committee. Hundreds, if not thousands, of armed men are converging on Libya's main oil shipping terminals, which the rival powers in the country's east and west are fighting to control in a battle being watched by the global oil markets. The struggle for the Ras Lanouf refinery and nearby Sidr depot threatens to spiral into an all-out conflict between east and west. Already it has seen the bloodiest fighting yet between the two camps. Around 40 troops from the east were killed over 4 days as militias backed by Western factions stormed the area last Friday, losing a handful of casualties. Forces from the east, loyal to the head of the National Libyan Army, head Khalifa Haftar, are massing nearby, threatening a new assault to gain control of the facilities which are nominally in the hands of the Tripoli government. Right, welcome back, and we are joined now by Mrs. Susie Gnidi, Deputy Editor-in-Chief of Al-Ahram Al-Arabi magazine. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, dear.
And the situation in Libya, you are very much aware with. The only points that are very new, of course, the battle that is going on in the area of the oil, and of course the existence of several other countries, new countries that have emerged on the scene. We're speaking here about, of course, Russia. We're speaking about the European Union today in the quartet, and we're speaking about the United States. Please.
Yes, as we can see, there is a meeting today, very important meeting in the Arab League, actually, first meeting, actually, between the African Union, the European Union, and the Arab League, and also the United Nations. It's very important. The point is, will they reach anything useful for the situation on the ground in Libya? I doubt it.
Just came out from there, and they did not.
Yeah, they will just assure some political points or political views that they think it is actually better for the Libyans in the coming few months. But the point on the ground is there is Haftar and the Libyan military. There is certain militias. There is certain militias with Sarraj, Fayez Sarraj, the prime minister, whom the EU actually is backing, and the United Nations also is backing. There are also ISIS or Daesh and other, as we can see, terrorist groups in Libya. So it's a military fight now. The military is who is going to say what's the outcome, not the political actually issue. And what can actually assure what I'm saying is that the Sukhayrat agreement didn't reach anything until now, or didn't reach what it was supposed to reach until now, and they are asking for changing in 4 points or other more than 4 points in this agreement now. And I think it's practical to change actually some of those points in Sukhayrat agreement. The point is now in the international arena, there is Turkey, there is Qatar, who are playing in Libya, or were and still. You have Russia, and also, and you can't neglect the visiting of Haftar to Russia and Sarraj to Russia, and the Egyptian role trying to actually get them all on the table to negotiate, and until now it's not a success. Maybe they will try again. I think Samah Shukri, the foreign minister, have said this in the press conference with the Jordanian foreign minister 2 days ago, that Egypt will continue actually its efforts in this. But also, beside Russia and Qatar and Turkey and Egypt and other, also Tunisia and Algeria trying to have a role, we have now the Trump administration view on the American role in Libya and in Syria. As I can see, there will be an international conference in Washington concerning Syria and concerning combating ISIS in Syria. So this gives us a hint that the United States wants to have a new role, different than the Obama's rule, which was actually leaving the Russians to do whatever they can and try to cooperate. Now, of course, Trump will cooperate with Putin, but he doesn't want to cooperate with Putin when Putin have the upper hand completely in the situation on the ground in Syria and Libya and maybe other places. So that's why maybe there will be a change in the way or the tactique the Americans are going to involve in the Libyan situation. We're going to wait and see, because this is my perspective or predictive about what's going to happen in the coming few months. I think the United States will have a say, and they are trying to have a say in the peace process, in the Syrian problem, and I think also they will have something to say in the Libyan process.
Yes, we'll get back to this issue of Syria, because we have seen yesterday a very dangerous attack that Israel conducted on the Syrian territories. We'll get to this, but let me ask you about the new players, the Trump administration and Russia. And we all know that it started with a kind of warm relation between those two powers. So you think here the situation in Syria and Libya will pit both sides in a new Cold War or a new change in the atmosphere of their relations? Or how do you view here the situation?
No, I don't think this will happen at all. I don't think there will be a Cold War. Because as we can see what the new president, the American President Trump, is saying, he doesn't want to have a war with Russia. He doesn't want to have a conflict even with Russia. He wants to sit and speak with Putin. Even if the CIA or the Foreign Ministry or other think tanks have different views, he thinks he is one step forward than them. He wants to speak with the Russians, but he doesn't want to negotiate with the Russians concerning the Middle East when he is a bit weak in his role in the Middle East. He wants to be a bit influenced more or involved more, but not military-wise. Not military-wise. He wants to leave the Russians paying a lot of money and a lot of efforts in the military war. And then he can sit having a political influence on the countries in the Middle East, can sit and negotiate with the Russians about how they can see their interests could be fulfilled together in the Middle East and in the Arab countries, regardless of the interests of the Arab countries. And that's why the Arab League, the Arab Summit coming in the end of March, 29th of March, in Jordan, in Amman, is very, very important.
That we'll see an afterwards, right afterwards, meeting by President Sisi with the US
as it said,
at the
as
very
it's
beginning
been published today,
April.
it's in April, in the first, I think the 3rd of April, I think in the 3rd of April, as it's...
Yes, the first week anyway of April, yes, indeed. And that would be an encounter that we are all awaiting to.
Yes, of course.
Because it would really clarify many situations. Getting back to Syria, because I cannot really ignore what happened yesterday. And this strike by Israel that have seen none response, no one spoke about it as if it had not even occurred. And a claim, a very weird claim that they have spotted an area of weapons, and so they carried out with those airstrikes. Even how did you feel when you heard such a piece of news.
Let me ask you a question, please.
Please do.
Is this the first time? No. It happens about 2 months ago with the same allegations, with the same excuse. I can't remember if it was 2 months ago or more or less, but in the same period of time, I guess. So it's not the first time. It may be 6th time or more. That happened from the 5 years ago until now. Syria is in a big problem, is a big trouble, and the situation there is not controlled. And of course, Israel is doing whatever they can to keep the Golan as their own land. And they are very happy with what's happening actually in Syria, weakening Syria, weakening Iraq, and also weakening Iran if they can, weakening Egypt, making every country, neighbor country, a weak country, is in the benefit of Israel. So, of course, they are playing a very negative role. They say they have certain new information, intelligent information that the Syrians are getting some weapons to Hezbollah in Lebanon. I don't know. I doubt it. Bashar is in a big trouble and he's trying to concentrate more. And the problem is the only reaction came from Russia. Russia actually have asked the ambassador, the Israeli ambassador in Moscow, to the foreign minister, and they said they are against this completely. This was the only reaction that came out, unfortunately. I didn't hear, maybe there were an Arab country reaction, but until now I don't think there was any reaction from any Arab countries, unfortunately. Because they think, some Arab countries think that Syrian regime is an enemy. Iranian is an enemy, but Israel is not. And this is why we are in a big chaos, unfortunately, in this situation in the Arab world. We can't see the real enemy now. Of course, regardless of that, Iran, its policy in the Arab countries trying to control a lot of Arab countries, and it's a negative policy, unfortunately, I can say so. Turkish policy is not a positive policy, it's a negative policy. Every country is trying to control the weakened Arab countries, unfortunately. What we are going to do about this situation? Are we going to continue struggling with each other as an Arab countries? Are we going to continue our conflicts, small, very small conflicts? No, we have to stand up. We are going to be eaten if we don't stand up. And that's why I'm coming back to the coming Arab Summit. It's very, very important. We have to prove to the whole world that we have a say in our future as an Arabs. We have to say, to prove to the whole world that we are united and that we are still strong. We are not being eaten completely. We still have something to say. We still have our strengths to actually resist what's happening. And I hope that any Arab country can say that we are against what Israel is doing in Syria. Actually, I think this is the least thing to do, unfortunately.
Fortunately, it didn't even come from the Arab League.
Yeah.
The representative of the whole Arab world. And we cannot just forget that Syria was a founding member of the Arab League. Yes. Sadly enough to speak about that. Returning to Libya, and just to wrap up our episode here, and what do you expect at this upcoming stage for Libya?
Okay, I expect, if I can predict, that the Libyan military, Khalifa Haftar, will continue trying to get more land, trying to get Benghazi, Tarablos, most of the big countries more, and trying to beat he has now two enemies, unfortunately, the terrorist groups and the militias, and also some other militias who are related to Sarraj and to other, actually, unfortunately.
Benghazi Defense Brigades.
Yes, you have mentioned it. So we're going to wait and see. I think he should be actually encouraged politically wise from the European Union and from the UN. They should actually lift the boycott on giving the Libyan military weapons, actually, because it doesn't make sense. They are saying we don't want to give those weapons because we are not sure in which hands those weapons are going to be. No, it's going to be on the militia, on the hands of the Libyan military, official military, and he's going to try to gain more lands so that he can unite Libya. If the actually purpose is, or the object is to divide Libya, then don't back Khalifa Haftar. But if you want Libya united for the benefit of the EU, actually, because if Libya is, again, they have seen what happens in Syria.
Yes, the danger
immigrants are going to...
Yes, the danger is more than the interests. Yes, very much indeed.
They have to think about their own interests, not only about the Libyan interests now, in this stage.
Unfortunately, they should, but they did not. And what we heard from the quartet, they are not.
They are going to suffer.
Yes.
Unfortunately, because of
Unfortunately, that. Yes. Unfortunately, yes. However, my time is out. I have to end it here. Mrs. Susie Gnadi, Vice Editor-in-Chief of Al-Ahram magazine. We thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, dear. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Dear viewers, many thanks for watching. Next Saturday would be another Arab Affairs important discussion. Until then, it's goodbye.